It's rising. Reverend Mary Hawk.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Witch Rising. I'm Reverend Mary Hall, and today we are going to be discussing the current state of reproductive rights in the United States, particularly abortion rights. If you are watching on Facebook and YouTube, you can certainly post comments in chat, and I welcome respectful dialogue at all times. And the first thing we're going to discuss is the fact that abortion care is health care, and I'm going to share a couple of articles with you. Just a moment while I get them up on the screen here. And this is from CNN. Okay. And we're going to roll up to the top. So, Texas woman denied an abortion tells senator she nearly died on their watch. Amanda Zarowski is suing the state of Texas after being denied an abortion. She told lawmakers on Wednesday that not receiving abortion care harmed her mental health and might prevent her from having children in the future. And the date of this article was Wednesday, April 23rd. In the article, we'll just highlight parts of it. We've heard a lot today about the mental trauma and the negative, harmful effects on a person's psychological well being after they have an abortion, supposedly. And I'm curious why that's not relevant for me as well, Zarowski said in the hearing of the U.S. Senate Committee on the Judiciary on the impact of the Supreme Court's reversal on Roe v. Wade. Because I wasn't permitted to have an abortion, and the trauma and the PTSD and the depression that I have dealt with in the 8 months since this happened to me is paralyzing that. On top of that, I am still struggling to have children. Zarowski previously told CNN she was denied abortion care after she had pregnancy complications. 18 weeks into her pregnancy, Zarowski's water broke, which put her at high risk for a life-threatening infection. Zarowski's baby, named Willow, was sure to die. Willow still had a heartbeat, and so doctors said that under Texas law, they were unable to terminate the pregnancy. Zarowski told lawmakers Wednesday that she received an emergency or abortion only after her condition worsened and she went into septic shock, adding that she may have been one of the first persons affected in the state of Texas after Roe was overturned, removing the federal right to abortion. I want to address my Senators Cruz and Cornyn, neither of whom regrettably are in the room right now, but I would like for them to know what happened to me. I think most people in the room would agree was horrific. But that's a direct result of the policies that they support, Zarowski said. I nearly died on their watch, and furthermore, as a result of what happened to me, I may have been robbed of the opportunity to have children in the future. And the language in Texas abortion laws is incredibly vague, and it leaves doctors grappling with what they can and cannot do, what health care they can and cannot provide, Zareski said, bristling at the implication that her doctors were at fault for misinterpreting the state's abortion bans. And if they make the wrong decision, they face up to 99 years in prisons, or they could lose their license. And now we're going to look at another article, also from CNN, regarding the same law. So, Texas, this is from March the 7th, 2023. Texas is being sued by five women and two providers regarding the abortion ban. And I am going to scroll down a bit to the plaintiff's stories from Ms. Zarowski. Doctors told her they would not terminate the pregnancy until she was considered sick enough that her life was at risk. She recounted to CNN last year, adding that she was told that could take hours or days or even weeks. Another plaintiff to the lawsuit, Lauren Miller, was pregnant with twins, but learned through testing that one of the fetuses had multiple fetal abnormalities that made it highly unlikely it would survive to birth, according to the lawsuit. Her specialist suggested that she travel out of state, but evaded giving her and her husband direct answers to their questions, the lawsuit says. It was apparent that their doctors, nurses, and counselors were all fearful of speaking directly and openly about abortion for fear of liability under Texas abortion bans, the lawsuit states. A third plaintiff, Lauren Hall, traveled to Seattle for an abortion after being told an 18-week scan that her fetus had a condition that gave it no chance of survival. She was told that that condition, according to the lawsuit, posed risks of hemorrhage and preterm birth, among other risks. But she says her specialist in Texas would not give her information about her options or even transfer her medical records to an abortion provider. The fourth plaintiff, Anna Zargarian, says in the complaint that at 19 and a half weeks into a pregnancy, her water broke. She was diagnosed with preterm premature rupture of membranes and was told that her fetus would not survive to birth, according to the lawsuit. But even as doctors said the recommended treatment was an abortion, they told Zargarian they were barred from performing one because the fetal heartbeat was still detectable, according to the lawsuit. Eventually, she obtained the procedure in Colorado, but now faces fear about becoming pregnant in Texas again because she has been told she will be at high risk of developing conditions linked to PPROM. The fifth plaintiff, Ashley Brandt, also says she faced complications in a pregnancy with twins, during which one fetus had conditions that were putting the other fetus at risk. Though she was ultimately able to obtain a selective abortion in Colorado, according to the lawsuit, she faced other complications that at one point sent her to the emergency room, where she experienced a distinct uneasiness and confusion. It appeared that the medical staff thought they were not supposed to know about Ashley's abortion or discuss it with her, the lawsuit said. adding that the remainder of her pregnancy was plagued by fear and stress. She ultimately delivered a healthy baby 38 weeks into pregnancy. So, we cannot talk about abortion without acknowledging that it is health care. It is medically necessary in many cases, and it can't be restricted in such a manner that women who are facing issues with their pregnancy, with fetal abnormalities and life-threatening issues, can't access it. This is putting lives at risk. So that's our first point tonight. And please, if you're interested, go ahead and place your comments in chat. I welcome discussion on this. And now we're going to take a look at what the state of abortion is. Just a moment while I get that set up here. I am getting this map pulled up. And let me scroll down so you can see the map. And this is from Axios, last updated May 22nd. So, be sure you're seeing what I'm seeing. Yes. So, those areas in yellow indicate where an abortion ban has been blocked. Those areas in the lighter orange indicate a mixed ban status. There is some provision for emergencies. And the dark orange, especially most of the South, indicates where abortion has been banned or severely restricted. So, quite a bit of the country, abortion is impossible or nearly impossible to obtain at this point. And we've got to point out, one, this is posing a huge health risk. Two, this is a huge invasion of our personhood. Because if we do not have 100% control over our bodies, we're not full citizens. And I just have to say that. Under the heading of abortion is health care, I'm just going to throw out, while I am now in menopause, I have several health issues. And even though I'm happily married for the last 10 years that I could have gotten pregnant, we were very careful that I didn't, because the odds of me carrying a child, a healthy child to term without damaging my own health, were somewhere between slim and none. So again, abortion care is health care, and also it is affecting people's personal choices over how and when to bear their children. And it is a huge overreach into our personhood. It is a huge government overstep. And it is also the fact that these laws are being made by legislatures with little to no medical input. So we have people with no medical training who are controlling medical procedures, and that is also a recipe for disaster. And I also want to bring up another point that I had neglected to discuss on my previous show, and that is we have to protect abortion access for everyone because not everyone who might need an abortion presents as female. People may present as male or non binary, but still be able to conceive, and they may need an abortion. And even in states where abortion is legal, these people have had a hard time accessing abortion care because they've been discriminated against at clinics who are only interested in providing care to people who present as female. So it is important to protect abortion access for everyone, no matter whether they are presenting as female or not. That that should not enter into the equation at all. So I did just want to draw that point out and comment on it. Uh, Next point is what can we do? Uh, Number one, sign up with your local Planned Parenthood for drives and information. They keep track of legislature going on in your state, and they will let you know about rallies, petitions you can sign, when legislature is coming up for debate. If at all possible, be there to protest. Make your voice heard. Uh, because we have to stand up and fight for our rights to control our own bodies. And I'll throw out this comment about if the founding fathers thought that abortion was a something that needed to be protected, they would have put it in the Constitution. Well, at that time, directions for herbal abortions abounded in the colonies. They didn't think it was an issue. And what does any of this have to do with the craft? Well, one, our roots are in, Mark is asking me, one, our roots come from the herb women, the midwives, who also had the herbal knowledge to end unwanted pregnancies. Two, I see this as a huge patriarchal intrusion into the lives of women, and the craft is about empowering women. Many of us have walked away from a patriarchal religion where we were told to sit down and be quiet in church, and we found our place in the craft. And finally, my own spirituality impels, as a Wiccan priestess, impels me to be politically active and to work for social justice. So, to answer your question, Mark, that's how I see this has a lot to do with the craft, but it is in our ancient roots as wise women, cunning men, those who held the herbal wisdom included how to prevent or end pregnancy. So it's very much part of the craft. So that is why we have to take control of our bodies, because I firmly believe we all have bodily autonomy as a right, or we should have bodily autonomy as a right. I would add that no one disagrees with a man who chooses to have a vasectomy. You want to test me on that? Any man watching, call your primary care doctor and tell them you want a vasectomy. Get the ball rolling. It'll take a month. Okay, so my statement has no basis in logic or fact. Which statement has no basis in logic or fact, Mark? I'm curious. Because I've been talking for 20 minutes now. But if you research the history of the craft, yes, the herbal methods of abortion are well within the purview of the craft. So, and you're certainly free to disagree with me if you so choose. And I will also give us the update on the my mifeprintosol while we are still have time. If you don't want to take a life, be responsible and practice safe sex. Well, that's an interesting statement, Mark, because so are you practicing safe sex unless you and your partner are ready to have a baby? Are you aware that no form of birth control is 100%? What happens if birth control fails and the life of the mother is at risk? What happens if a woman is sexually assaulted and a child results from the act? What happens if, as I mentioned earlier, during the pregnancy, something goes horribly wrong and the mother's life is in danger? There are lots of reasons why an abortion might become necessary. And I firmly believe that no one person can dictate these life choices to anyone else. Sorry about the dog, folks. She's a little excitable tonight. And let me share one more website with you. Just a moment while I get this one on screen. All life is precious, as the craft says, and it harm none, do what thy will. Well, it's been generally accepted that life begins at birth through most of history, or at least at quickening, when the when the mother can feel the baby moving. If you do some research, you will find that even in the United States in the 1800s, until the baby was moving, most people did not consider abortion an issue, Mark. So I suggest you go and do some more research as to what is actually the history of our craft here. And now we're going to take a look at an update on the status of the medication abortion. Let me scroll down here a little bit. And the Supreme Court did rule that the medication mifepristone still remains legal around the country. On April 21st, one judge would have blocked the FDA's approval of mifepristone, which dates back to the year 2000. However, this was overruled on April 21st. So for the time being, that does still remain an option if it's needed. And I just want to bring that update in. And we will stop sharing here. No, there's not anything wrong with adoption, but there's something very wrong with forcing someone to carry a child they're not prepared to carry. And if you can't see the morality in that, then I do not understand your own morality. And that's about where I have to leave it with you, Mark, because forcing someone to carry an unwanted pregnancy is a very immoral stance. So, I don't know what else to tell you, but it is a very personal decision. And it's not one that anyone but the mother and the father should be involved in. Okay. And we are running out of time here. This is Reverend Mary Hawk with Witch Rising. I want to thank everyone for watching. It'll be a rerun again next week as I'll be out of town, but I will be back live on June the, let's see here, on Sunday, June 11th. So thank you everyone for joining me. Have a great evening and blessed be.
Each Rising. With Reverend Mary Hawk. Purple Goddess by Reverend Don Lewis. Angry Uterus by Carrie Wagner. Announcer, Don Hawk. Music written and performed by Don Hawk. In loving memory of Mary Frankie Clark.